Hi everyone, my name's Anthony and I'm a landscape photographer. Welcome to my channel. This is my second video which I shot on a recent trip to Kingsley Vale and Stoughton in the South Downs. This video is from the first morning that I was there, and it's actually the first shot of the day. I'm going to take you through my composition, my composing of the image, my setting up of the image, and I'm also going to take you through my processing and my processing workflow once I got back from the trip. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do like it, please click the thumbs up, and I'd love you to subscribe so you can see the rest of my content. And also, if you've got any comments or questions, please put them down below. Okay guys, enjoy the video. So just had breakfast with my friend, lovely nice sausage sandwich, beautiful for the morning, nice cup of tea. So we're heading out for our day's walk, just come out the car park and having a look, and I found my first shot of the morning. A nice tree, I like the colour of the red leaves against the background. Let me show you the shot. Okay, so this is what I'm seeing. I've got this lovely young sapling here with these really beautiful orange leaves that are dying away. Very autumnal, even though we're in February. It's really nice. So I framed the shot up. I'll show you the frame in a minute. One thing I have had to do is, because there's lots of other trees around and branches in the way, I've just very delicately used some elastic ties just to pull away a couple of branches that were in the frame, so I can get a nice clear shot or clear view for my composition and for my image. Okay, so I'm shooting with my 100 to 400. I'm at 182 zoomed in. I like that use of using a telephoto just to compress the image and flatten it. Otherwise, in woods sometimes it can be too distant. So shooting there, and I focused and framed up on that tree, using trees either side just to hold the image together, but leaving space on the very edges to let the image breathe and let the space breathe. Using a really big aperture, using f5, the biggest this lens will do, just to try and really blur out that background. Okay guys, so you've seen me shoot the shot in the field. Let me show you the image in the raw state, and then we'll get to processing. Here we go. Okay, so this is the image in its raw state. So I think this image has got some merit. The first thing I want to do when I process this image is I want to balance the image. I want to make sure that the image is balanced, lightness and darkness throughout the image. So I'm just gonna zoom out. I like to see things smaller for this process. And the first thing that gets me is it's quite light up in this middle top corner on the left, and it's quite light in the middle, in the bottom of the frame here. It's also very sharp in the bottom here, which is in the plane of focus. It's using obviously f5, as I said, in the field. So this plane of focus is very sharp and it's very soft everywhere. So the first thing I want to do is look at these details, soften these details here and darken it a little bit. So let's go for a linear gradient. A bit like that. Let's pull the exposure down a little bit. We've got some black clipping, so we just come up a tad. It's a little bit greyy, so just a little bit of contrast, and just pull the whites back a little bit. And now I want to just spread that out a little bit, just to stop it looking such a harsh line. Okay. So I'm just going to refine this. Okay, so now I've done that back bit. I want to focus the image in the center, so I'm just going to darken the edges, and I'm just going to add another linear gradient to this. Just going to start pulling this in from the edges. I'll make it fairly strong, so it just sits in where that tree is, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Okay, so I think that's starting to work quite well, just a before and after. Now I'm just going to soften these a little bit, just by stretching them out. Okay. Whenever you're working with this, it's okay to refine what you do. You know, you don't have to get it right first time, you can just work, and every time you make an adjustment, you're going to make, things are going to change a little bit as well. Okay, so now we're there. Now what I'm going to do is I just want to bring the tree out a little bit, so I'm going to add a radial gradient through that middle. So I just want to bring these leaves out a little bit, so let's have a look at how we're going to do that. So if we pull the whites up, you can see they come out a little bit. A little bit of contrast, shadows. Yeah, just pull those shadows out. It's always a case of trial and error. There's never a right way or wrong way. There's so many different ways of doing stuff. So just gonna add and try little bits as we go. Okay, so that's good so far. So the next area for me is this top section. It's got a funny cast to it, so I just want to remove that a little bit. So we're going to add another radial. Kind of looks something a bit like that. And then we're just going to remove a bit of saturation, just to remove some of that cast. Want too much saturation off, about there, and then let's change the tone a little bit, warm it up a little, add a little bit of magenta I think. There we go, that's looking quite even now. Let's do a quick before and after, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm kind of happy with the balance now. You know, a few areas we could work on. Again, so balance is pretty good. It's balanced edges, fairly balanced. It's nice and bright through the middle with a little lift at the top, which I quite like. Just want to adjust this mask a little bit. It's a little bit magenta. Maybe there. Yeah, okay, we can come back to that. Yeah, so I quite like the balance now of the lightness areas. So I'm just looking at these two little bits, these corners here. I think they're a little bit distracting, so let's go back to our dark mask. We'll add another radial. We'll just make it nice and soft just for that bit there. So before and after. Just pulls your eye. We're going to do another one, another little radial, just for that bit, that section there. Okay, I think that's quite good. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this first mask, and I'm just going to reduce the clarity, the texture and the clarity a little bit. Haze there. So that's just going to sort of soften that a little bit. Just want to change the hue, just warm it up a little bit, just because I think it looks a little bit mucky. So just warm it up, and it just cleans out some of that grey a little. Go back to this mask of the tree and the centre. I'm just going to up the clarity again, just to undo what we did just to, well, not undo, but just to accentuate that area slightly. Again, slight adjustments. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a subtract, a radial, just for that top, just so we keep that light section just in the middle, and then we can really refine that. Just holds us in the image a little bit better, I think. Okay, so that's getting there. Right, okay, I'm going to make some color adjustments now. So really good technique is you're going to up your saturation, and we're going to play with the sliders. We're going to go extremes each way, and what this is going to do is this is going to allow us to set our eyes. So we're going to go both ways, and then we're going to come up or down, whatever's easier for you, till you get to a color that you think feels about right. So that's too blue, it's a bit too yellow. That's quite good. That's quite a nice balance of colors. Now we're going to do the same with the tint. Let's see where we sit. That's too green. I think that's about perfect. And then this is always fascinating. You pull the saturation back to normal and it feels really flat. So it's quite nice to up the saturation again, just a small amount. You don't want to overdo it. And that's given us a nice image so far. Okay, I still don't really like this colour that we've got at the top, so let's play again with that with this mask. Yep. Again, it's quite purpley, quite magenta, so we'll just clean that off a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Let's have a look. Okay, still a bit green, so let's pull saturation back a little bit. Okay, next thing I want to do is there's quite a lot of green in the image, so I want to go into my hue saturation and luminance channels, and I'm going to now play around with these. So the first thing I want to do is let's reduce the greens. Let's take the green saturation and bring that down. Let's have a look at what the yellows do. So yeah, you can see there's quite a lot of greens tend to have quite a lot of yellows, so we're going to pull those in. We're going to do slight adjustments in the hue. Turn those yellows a little bit more orange. Let's have a look at the orange. So the orange is going to affect the tree leaves a bit. Let's give them a boost. I always find luminance is a really good tool for just reducing the areas that aren't of interest. So let's pull the oranges up a little bit. Let's grab our marker tool and see what colours pop up when we do this. So yeah, blues and aquas. Okay, so let's saturation blues down, and that aquas down. Should just clean that up a little bit. I'm going to pull the luminance of the orange down a tad. Felt quite bright. Okay, I feel we need a little bit of lift overall, so just increase. Let's pull our overall up a tad. It looks like we're getting some clipping. Yeah, we are on these leaves. So I just quite a lot of clipping there. Okay. So let's go back to our masks and let's soften some of this a little bit so we can raise the overall lightness. Okay, so I've got most of my basic processing done, but it needs a lot more refinement to get this image exactly how I want it. You've got the basics of what I want to do, which is balance the image, make sure it's balanced through the lightness, and then get a focal point in place, and then having that lead in the image somewhere, and then start to separate the image out, the main subject out from the rest of the image. So that's basically what I've started doing. It just needs a lot more refinement to get it exactly perfect. I'm not going to talk you through everything because it would be really boring. So I'm just going to basically, like I keep saying, refine this image completely now to get it absolutely tip top to where I want it. One area that I am going to work on, which you'll see, is I'm going to work on this dark branch on this right hand side. I think that's a bit distracting, so that will be one thing I'll work on as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of this processing. It will be sped up. If you want to see exactly what I do, then you can slow it down and have a look. But yeah, enjoy. So there we go, yeah, so that's the image processed. I'm still going to call this as a draft at the moment. It's not necessarily completely finished. Sometimes I like to sit on an image and see how I feel with it after a couple of days or a couple of hours or even a couple of weeks. So yeah, let me show you this full screen and see what you think.